So we understand and process the world through our senses, and it's really helpful for us to understand about sensory processing when we're supporting anyone, whatever their needs are. So you actually have 8 senses. You probably know about the first 5. Your sense of sight, your sense of hearing, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, and your sense of touch. You also then have 3 more kind of main senses. So your vestibular sense, your sense of balance, your proprioceptive sense, which is your sense of body awareness. So if I put my hand here, I can close my eyes and I can copy it with this hand, and I know where my body is in space. And then your interoceptive sense, which tells you about different feelings of pain and temperature, if you're hungry, if you need the toilet, all of those kind of things. So for each of these senses, there are different things which help us feel at what we call a just right level, which helps us to be able to understand and process things in a way that enables us to engage. So for our sense of sight, we know that things that are calming is anything that's plain or geometric. Things that are alerting is anything that's busy or moving around. And we see Jesus use sight in the Bible. He says, look at the birds of the air. They don't worry. How much more do you not need to worry? Sight is a way that we can help people understand things that are going on. We have our auditory sense, the way that we hear things. We know that things that are calming is anything that's slow, steady, rhythmic. Things that are alerting is anything that's kind of busy and changing in pitch and tempo. And obviously, the more that we use our voice, we can enable people to be able to engage in what it is that we're talking about. You have your sense of smell, your olfactory sense, which is about the way that you take in and process smells. And obviously strong and kind of pungent smells are going to be alerting, but other smells are going to be calming. So things like vanilla or chocolate are going to be calming smells. The cool thing about smell is that it's really interestingly linked to your sense of memory. So when you have a particular memory, you often have a smell linked to that. I love that in the Bible that might mean that with things like Jesus feeding the 5,000, there would have been loads of fish. For those people who were there, maybe that smell of fish would have reminded them of that miraculous provision that Jesus did when he multiplied all that food and they were able to eat on the mountainside. It would have reminded them of the characteristics of God and his provision for them. You then have your sense of taste, so the way that you process things through your mouth. And in the Bible it says, doesn't it, taste and see that the Lord is good. We know that kind of strong tastes are going to be alerting, things that are spicy, sweet and sour. Other tastes which like vanilla and chocolate again are going to be more calming. And everyone is individual. The other thing that we will look at in a second is our proprioceptive sense, movement. But any movement through your mouth is going to be both calming and alerting. So anything that's chewy, crunchy is going to be calming and alerting. So things like having chewing gum in the car is going to help you feel at that just right level. Having a crunchy apple or a bit of celery will also help you. You also have your tactile sense, which is your sense of touch. So we know that things that are going to be alerting is anything that's light and tickly. That's why if you kind of brush past the top of your skin, it feels a bit funny. That's because that's impacting your kind of protective tactile system, which helps you feel pain and temperature. You then, things that are calming are things that are deep pressure touch. So a whole hand is going to help someone feel more calm. Really important for us to be thinking about when we're interacting with anyone around us. If we use a whole hand rather than brushing past someone, that's going to be easier to process and understand. And it's just a really great reminder the way that Jesus uses touch in the Bible. He's constantly taking people who are on the edges of society and bringing them back into the center. He touches the lepers and heals them. He touches the children and welcomes them into his arms and says, these children are welcome in my kingdom. He's taking things that society sees and flipping them on their head so that he's showing everyone that everybody is welcome. You then have the ones that you're probably less familiar with. So your vestibular sense, your sense of balance, how fast I'm moving, the direction I'm moving in. Things that are alerting is anything that's kind of spinning, rotational or stop-start movement. And things that are calming is anything that is in one direction. So if I have somebody who's really struggling to sit still, I might help them by giving them the opportunity to move in one direction. That might be bouncing on a gym ball. It might be just jumping up and down on the spot. It might be kind of running in one direction, but that's going to help them feel more calm and regulated. I love that in the Bible, God shows us that kind of thing when Jesus, for example, calms a storm. He says, be still, and there's that kind of stillness. We can stop and we can be still and know that God is God, like it says in the Psalms. Our proprioceptive sense is the most important one to remember. So if you remember heavy work movement is anything which puts pressure through your joints and sends signals to your brain. It gives you that feeling of just rightness. So whether you need to be more calm or more alert, any kind of movement is going to help you feel more just right. When we do things like walking and talking with somebody, or when we move along, that's easier for us to be able to interact and engage with somebody. So we might want to do things like giving ourselves a big hug, pushing the wall, carrying something heavy, even going on a walk with somebody. Doing movement activities in between any kind of concentrated activity is going to help us to engage. And then your interoceptive sense, that internal sense, is going to mainly be impacted by all of those other three. So your sense of tactile, vestibular, proprioception, so touch, balance and movement, senses, that sense of body awareness, they're going to help impact that internal sense to help you feel at that just right level. The most important thing is all of these senses, a bit like a picture of a triangle, impact everything that we do every day. So if we can be thinking about them and have a mind about them, then that can help us engage everyone in whatever they're doing.